Okay, when we discuss Keynesian model, and then on the impact of price, we use the aggregate supply and aggregate demand model. Okay, so at that point, we already derived aggregate demand curve. And now we're going to do that again with ISLM. Okay, most textbooks, including those in Taiwan and also in the US, they usually use ISLM to derive aggregate demand. But in my opinion, that is not necessary. You know, when you have Keynesian model, at that point you will be able to derive aggregate demand curve, and the result is the same. Okay, so first, here it is Y, here it is R, right? But when you want to get aggregate demand, here is Y. What is here? It's price. Okay, so remember we also do an example with algebra, right? There's one day we talk about the problem sets of ISLM with calculation. Okay, we calculate IS curve, okay, the equation for IS curve, and also the equation for LM curve. Okay, so be sure to check your notes. Okay, so how to relate this model with this one? The point is you need to have P, okay? Then assume that this is P1, okay, and then LM, here is P2. So then you have Y1 here and also Y2 here. So now we have 2 points. And then you can derive aggregate demand curve there. Okay, so what is the relationship between P1 and P2? As we talked about that before, LM curve shift to the right. Okay, LM curve shift to the right means that there's increase in money supply or expansionary monetary policy. And so in this case, we have M over P. M over P is real money balance. Okay, this is real money balance. So it means that this one, okay, has a higher money supply than this one. So what does that mean? That means P2, okay, is less than P1. So then we have Y1 here, and then Y2 here. And so it is P1 here and P2 here, right? So what do we get? So, sorry, do I get anything wrong here? Hold on, P2. So it should be, sorry, P2 is lower, right? So it is here. P2 is down here and P1 is here, so you have here, here. So then you get aggregate demand. So that's the same thing that we mentioned before. For ordinary demand for goods or services, it really means your marginal utility is going down. But for aggregate demand, the reason that the slope is negative is because of what? Real money balance. Okay, real money balance. Okay, then we're going to talk about trade. International trade. So why do we need to trade? You know, for one very simple reason. You know, we don't have oil, right? We don't have oil. So then we have to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Okay? And natural gas. Natural gas usually is called LNG. Okay, why LNG? N, natural. G, gas. And as you know, it is gas, right? So it's very inconvenient to move a gas. So usually it is what? Liquefied. So you have to make it as a liquid, okay? Other than that, you know, sometimes, even though, say, Taiwan, right, we have produced rice, but we have enough rice? Not necessarily. The same thing with Japan. If you, have learned the news in Japan, so what's going on? The innovation. What is the rice market happening right now in Japan in terms of demand and supply? You don't know. Feng Jie. What happened in the rice market in Japan now?
Price go up.
Price go up, right? They have a shortage. Okay, but do you know, does Japan produce rice? Yes, it does, but it's not enough. Okay, so sometimes you don't have it like in Taiwan. 99.9% of energy is imported. Okay, and for rice, okay, we still need some. And for wheat, that is the same thing. And for fish, okay, even though Taiwan is an island, right? We produce a lot of fish, but sometimes we still need some more, in terms of variety, some different kind of fish. For example, salmon, right? Salmon. Chen Youxi, what is salmon? Excuse me? Right, that's translation by name. So what is that? It has a different name. Exactly. Okay, you get it? Probably Hong Kong people call it that way, but in Taiwan we call it exactly. Okay, so why we have international trade? For a variety of reasons. Okay, we don't have it, then you have to buy from others, or sometimes you have surplus. For example, in terms of pineapple, right, and some other kind of fruits, we really produce too much. And just like Saudi Arabia, if they just produce oil for themselves, they really don't need that much, machineries and all those equipments, because, it is only for themselves. But it is not, okay? So what happened in 1970s? So in 1973, 74, there's an oil embargo, right? Oil embargo. What is that? Liu Jiajie, what is oil embargo? Happened in 1973, 1974. Louder. There's a war, right? There's a war between Arabian world and Israel. Okay? Who is winning? Israel winning. Why? It has the support of America, United States. And so because of that, to move your tank, to move your airplane, you need oil. And Saudi Arabia has oil. And they think they are stupid. Why they sell oil to someone going to beat them, right? And so there's oil embargo. What happened? They don't ship oil to the United States, to Israel, and it becomes a weapon. Okay, oil becomes a weapon. Just like right now, trade, in terms of Donald Trump, it becomes a trade war, right? And that is really, it depends on who you are. If you are Saudi Arabians, you think it's great, we're going to win, right? Because they don't have oil. Even they have tanks, they don't have oil. Their tanks will sit there, just like the airplane. They cannot fly without oil. So that's one of the good thing or bad thing, whichever you want to look at. But you know that this is not good, right? It's not good for the world economy. Because of oil embargo, what happened? Production goes down, right? And then price goes up. So what do we have? We have stagflation. The economy is not good, a lot of unemployment, and also what? inflation. So you know that because of all these impacts, we have to be very careful about trade, okay? And sometimes, people look at all the instances so that, we really need to be more open, okay? And if you're gonna treat the trade between two nations or of the world as a weapon, what is going to happen? Everyone gonna suffer, just like what Donald Trump is doing now. Everyone is suffering, right? Because employment gonna go down, production gonna go down, and the price gonna go up. Okay. And other than oil and the other kind of natural resources, okay? So for example, if you're gonna get iron ore, okay, so let us see Wang Peizhen. If you're gonna get iron ore, which country is a good source? What's iron? Alright, good. Or the things with iron, okay, just like coal, right? Iron ore. So, which country are you gonna get? It's down south. Very big country, and with very few people. Exactly, Australia. And sometimes you can also get it from South Africa, and then diamond, right? Diamond. Where are you gonna get diamond? 葡国语. Yes, South Africa. Okay. And Huang Yufeng, if you're gonna get gold, where are you gonna get it? No idea. Russia, and also South Africa. Okay. Why? Because all these countries have abundance of diamond ore, okay, the gold reserve, and in Saudi Arabia oil reserve, right? And you may wonder why Taiwan is so unfortunate. We don't have all these things, right? But we have good people, right? That is okay. That is good, right? Anyway, so even though they dig out a lot of stones, okay, and it contains diamonds, but where to get refined, okay, you have to refine it, right? Where to get the real diamonds, 正彩金. You only get rocks, okay, in South Africa, right? But then you have to refine all those rocks into diamond. Where are we going to get the true diamonds? It is a center to process it, okay? You don't just get the stone or the rocks. You have to refine it. You have to process it. So where to get that? Is a European country. Beijing, guess. Where is the processing center for diamonds?
一个国家。
Yes.
瑞士
Northern Europe.
瑞士。
No. 公司
会是小瑞士。
No. Okay, let's take a break.